like to invite the Torahs to make their way to the front of the sanctuary and join us at the foot of the bima. In front of the bima. Here we are, ready to begin Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. For many of us, getting ready to begin this 25-hour fast, we pray to God, "Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, creator of many creatures and their varied needs, for sustaining the lives of all beings. Life of the universe, we praise you. Now we prepare to abstain from food and drink, that we may dedicate ourselves to the spiritual tasks of this holy day. Blessed is the source of all. You open us to your nourishment. Be with us throughout this time of intentional fasting." Some of us are not physically able to fast, and for those who must eat during Yom Kippur, we say, "Rofei chol basar," healer of all living creatures. We thank you for the breath that is in us, for the community of Israel that lives, for the possibilities of today and tomorrow. May our eating be as a fast. May it be dedicated to you, to teshuvah, to the renewal and restoration of my relationship to you, to others, and to myself. Yom Kippur begins with the recitation of Kol Nidre, the ancient music, some of the oldest in our tradition, pulls us into the Day of Atonement. The words of Kol Nidre are a legal formula that remind us of something important when we think about teshuvah. They remind us that our words are the most important things that we can create. We can build and we can destroy worlds with our words. In Kol Nidre, God absolves us for the oaths that we have taken to God and not been able to fulfill. But throughout Yom Kippur, we are reminded that we still must seek forgiveness from people who we have hurt with those words. Let's turn to page 204 in Machzor Lev Shalem. Cantor begins the Kol Nidre service at the bottom of the page, B'Yeshiva Shalmala.
B'Yeshiva Shalmala, B'Yeshiva Shalmata, Al Dat HaMakom Ve'al Dat HaKahal Anu Matirin Leipalel Im Ha'avaryanim. שרירים ולקיימים נדרן
All vows, renunciations, bans, oaths, formulas of obligation, pledges, and promises that we vow or promise to ourselves and to God from this Yom Kippur to the next may it approach us for good, we hereby retract. May they all be undone, repealed, canceled, voided, annulled, and regarded as neither valid nor binding. Our vows shall not be considered vows, our renunciations shall not be considered renunciations, and our promises shall not be considered promises. I invite those honored to hold the Torahs for the second Kol Nidre to come forward.
Kol Nidre v'sarei v'charamei v'konamei v'chinuyei v'kinusei u'shevut עד יום כיפורים הבא, עד יום כיפורים הבא, עלינו לטובה. כל הון יהון sheririn vela kayamim nidrana la nidre di esarana la esare ushevuatana 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 la shevut.
Invite those honored with the third Kol Nidre to come forward. The entire congregation of the people of Israel shall be forgiven, as well as the stranger who dwells among them, for all have erred. V'nislach l'chol adat b'nei Yisrael.
ונשלח לכל הדת בני ישראל ולגר הגר בתוכם כי לכל העם בשגגה ונשלח לכל הדת בני ישראל ולגר הגר בתוכם כי לכל העם בשגגה. Join with me. ונשלח לכל הדת בני ישראל ולגר הגר בתוכם כי לכל העם בשגגה. סלח נא לעוון העם הזה כגודל חסדך וכאשר נשאת לעם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה ושם נאמר ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך סלחתי כדבריך ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of time and space, for granting us life, for sustaining us, and for bringing us to this sacred moment. We return the Torahs to the ark. It's been a few years. As the ark is closed, you may be seated. I am happy to call to the podium Amy Udoff, who serves as the president of the Temple Israel Board of Trustees. Amy, the pulpit is yours.
Hineni, here I am. Hineni, here I am with you tonight, standing as Temple Israel's 54th president of the Board of Trustees. My papa, Morris Roth, would be so proud. I still see him and my Nana Marilyn sitting in row NL with us. My papa used to point out parts of a service and things that he thought were important for my adult self to know. Kol Nidre is the most spiritual night for me as a Jew, and in this moment, I feel all of my generations here with me on the bima tonight. Hineni, here I am, a fourth-generation congregant at Temple Israel. I am in awe and inspired looking out over this full crowd tonight. I have been president for a couple of months now, and in some ways it seems much longer, and in others I'm just getting started. You may be familiar with my story. Harry Roth, my great-grandfather, was a Jewish resident here in Charlotte in the first several decades of the 20th century. The marriage of my great-grandparents, Harry and Rebecca Roth, was the first Jewish marriage here at Temple Israel on its East Trade Street location. My great-grandfather played a role in the organization of the Hebrew United Brotherhood congregation, which became Temple Israel. They have 7 children, including my papa, Mars Roth. Marilyn and Mars had a daughter, my mother, Dorothy Shapiro. She and my dad, Norman, were married at Temple Israel on Dilworth Road. My brother Stuart and I were both born here in Charlotte and had all of our major life cycles here at Temple Israel. Hineni, here I am. My mother, Dorothy, grew up across the street from Audrey Maddens of blessed memory. Audrey was the first person to greet me as I joined the Board of Trustees 6 years ago. As I look around, I can't help but connect and remember so many memories of the synagogue community. I see Miss Florence, who was a teacher assistant while I was a student at Temple Israel Preschool. And when I look over at Miles, David, and Alyssa, I see their mother and grandmother, Shirley Levine of blessed memory. My Hebrew school teacher who ingrained the importance of knowing how to say the Via Hafta and the meaning behind it. I think of her often when I say that prayer. I see Louis and Kevin, my Kadima youth advisors. Back in 1969 and 1970, these congregants were classmates in the Vav class preparing for their B'nai Mitzvah at our religious school, and they are all present here tonight. Dorothy, Liba, Pearl, Meg, David, and Jeff. In the same years, Harold, Scott, Miles, Lynn, Nikki, and Meg were all completing their confirmation at Temple Israel. Of this group, 2 are now past presidents of our temple. While these congregants were being educated at our religious school, my great-grandparents, Harry and Rebecca Roth, were celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary here at Temple Israel. Hineni, here I am. Who here remembers Sonny and Mary? Well, then you must have been a congregant since at least the 1990s. In 1996, Garrett, Gabby, Alyssa, Mason were all starting religious school with their teachers, Miss Sherry, Miss Audrey, and teacher assistants, Amy, Lisa, and Aaron. When I look out, I see all of my Hebrew school and youth group buddies who are living here in Charlotte today. This year, we have 140 students in our Temple Israel Religious School. Our religious school has wonderful teachers who are educating and harvesting our next generation's love for Judaism. Mara Devora, who retired at the end of last year, I thank you for being Olivia and Jacob's first experience at TIRS. As I reflect back on my preparation of my bat mitzvah in 1997, I can't help but think of Mr. Mon when looking over at Jody. Her father, Irving Mon, of blessed memory, along with Mr. Turson, Rabbi Emeritus Ezring, and Cantor Emeritus Rushberg, helped me prepare for my big day as they did with so many of my peers. As a new generation begins, I feel so confident and excited that the future of B'nai Mitzvahs at Temple Israel will have the same memories of Rabbi Wolk and Kenner Lissick. We have 25 B'nai Mitzvahs here at Temple Israel this year. While I was beginning my bat mitzvah preparations at Temple Israel, Stephanie and John were getting engaged and married at Temple Israel. Did you know that we had 4 weddings at Temple Israel this year? Hineni, here I am. In 2012, my husband Ross and I had a beautiful wedding where I walked down this aisle, as many others have done before and after me. In 2014, my daughter Olivia was born, and during that year, I attended a Seder with 2 other pregnant women, Tara and Sarah. Now they are some of my dear friends, and our babies are now 8 years old and are together in the Gimel class at Temple Israel Religious School. In 2016, when my son Jacob was born, and into the present year, I have met many of our newest members here at Temple Israel. Emily and Steve, Casey and Amy, Tal and Michael, Dory and Brian, Candace and Scott, Rachel and David, Lauren and Jeremy, Ariel and Mark, Tamara and Earl, and Carly and Sam. We have 68 new family units that joined us this year, and I'm really grateful that you have chosen us as your spiritual home. Hineni, here I am. Look at these connections. This is only my story, and believe me, if you gave me enough time, I can connect every one of us. Please forgive me for not mentioning you tonight. We would be here all night long. As each of you look around the sanctuary, as the sun was just streaming through our beautiful stained glass windows moments ago, on my favorite holiday of the year, I hope that you are experiencing similar and meaningful memories with others out of our Temple Israel family. Hineni, here I am. We are all connected through a sense of community and through our auxiliary groups. Torah Tots, Women of Temple Israel, Men's Club, Social Club, Empty Nesters, Torah on Tap, and through musical events, conversion classes, meeting at Kiddush, honors on the Bima, Minyanim, holiday education classes, Intro to Judaism, among other lifelong learning classes. A congregation that learns together, stays together. Look out for more programming coming, like Milton classes and the return to the Rabbi's Weekly Torah Study. Our common love of our tradition and our sense of faith and our sense of belonging and friendship is what bonds us together. This is our Jewish home, our Jewish community, and one that has come together for over 125 years with a shared commitment of Lador Vador to pass on from one generation to the next. Hineni, here I am. Elie Wiesel once said, if the only prayer that you say throughout your life is thank you, then that will be enough. Thank you to our executive director, Karen Turk, our office team, our clergy team, Senior Rabbi Michael Wolk and Kenner Shira Lissick, and our director of education, Rabbi Helene Kornsgold. Thank you to our board of trustees, our past presidents, our auxiliary leaders, our volunteers, our committee chairs, our greeters, our Gabbaim, our Torah and Haftorah readers, and our minyan makers. We simply could not exist without these people. I have been in awe of your passion and commitment for those of you who have stepped up day after day and week after week. Thank you, all of our congregants, for your generosity and believing in Temple Israel. Thank you for providing 125 years of stability to our synagogue. Thank you for allowing future generations to make the same connections, friendships, and sense of community that we have made. Thank you for showing up and meeting us here throughout the year. Hineni, here I am, and so are you. We are offering an opportunity for giving with our annual High Holiday Appeal. I challenge each of you to pick a meaningful pledge tonight. Think and talk with your partner and families about what is meaningful to you. This pledge will continue to sustain us for this upcoming year and will support operations as one of our 3 revenue streams, along with annual commitments and our annual fundraiser. This High Holiday Appeal can assist us with unexpected replacement of necessary equipment, such as our walk-in freezer, which will cost $15,000 to repair. Did you get a chance to see our building? It's been washed. The building exterior looks beautiful. Did you know that it costs $25,000 to pressure wash our building? Our House Committee identified $150,000 in repairs and $1.3 million in potential capital expenditures over the next 5 years. Please take your pledge card out of your seat pocket and join together in making a pledge. The cards may be passed to the end of the aisle where volunteers will collect them. Gomer Hatima Tova, may you be inscribed and sealed in the book of life for a year of happiness, health, peace, and prosperity, and may our scarce community continue to be blessed.
Thank you, Amy, for that beautiful reflection on Temple Israel and where we've come from and on where we're going, our past, our present, and our future. And I've only been here for just over 2 years, but I am also thrilled at the connections I make in this community and to see my children growing up at this temple, being part of TIRS and the broader community and making their home here. Thank you. The people who are assigned to collect cards, if you could walk up the aisles. And while they're doing that, we turn to page 207 in the Machzorim. The evening service, the Mariv service for Yom Kippur, chanted to the beautiful ancient nusach of the Yamim Noraim, the distinct melodies of the high holidays. Page 207, I invite you to rise for the Baruch Hu. Be seated. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from before the light.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל החי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני Ahavat Olam. Let's sing together. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Havta, Amcha Havta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadita, Alekin Adonai Eloheinu b'shachvenu, v'kumenu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu, v'orech yameinu, u'vahem nege yomam v'layla, yomam v'layla. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני. We'll join together in the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibart bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לגות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובישעריך. והיה שמוע תשמעו זאת השם.
היום אני משדר בני ישראל אמרת להם לעשות את זה.
Adonai Elohechem emet.
Amen. At also we can alleen kennen. Hou zeg nog even met Hanna Shem. Then Moses, Miriam, and the people of Israel joyfully sang this song to you, Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai, middle of page 210.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל לחנו שירה ושמחה את יעקב ובלאומר חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גל ישראל.
Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully and awaken us to life, our sovereign. Blessed are you who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem. Page 211, Hashkivenu.
V'ha'amidinu malkeinu l'chayim Ufrosh aleinu sukat shlomecha Ufrosh aleinu sukat shlomecha Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai, guard us from all harmful things. O Adonai, keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake when morning's light. Teach us daily wrong from right. Oh, Adonai, Amen. Amen, Amen. Amen, Amen. Amen, Amen.
Asher Koch to my Jan and Reuben for leading us in Hashkivenu.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו, ועל כל עמו, עמו ישראל, עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים.
For on this day atonement shall be made to you for you to purify you from all your transgressions. In the presence of Adonai you shall be pure. Page 212. Please rise in the middle of the page. Ki vayom hazeh.
כי ביום הזה יכפר עליכם, לטהר אתכם מכל חטאותיכם לפני אדוני, תטהרו. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמדי ורח יריותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חון וביומי חון, ובחיי זכל בית ישראל, בגלו ובזמן קריב ימרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה, מברך, לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לילה ולילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תוש בחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה וימרו.
We spend the next few moments in silent prayer with the words of the special Yom Kippur Amidah, beginning on page 213.
When you've completed your Amidah, you may be seated. Kippur, we acknowledge where we may have missed the mark, and we return to ourselves and to God and to love and to truth. We return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, return again and again to you. We return again to you. We return, we return, we return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, we return, we return, return again and again to love, to love, to love. We return again to love. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekedem yalalai lalai yalalai lalai yalalai lalai yalalai lalai yalalai lalai yalalai lalai. We return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, return again and again and again.
After Rosh Hashanah, someone who was watching services on live stream told me they developed a drinking game based on the number of times I fixed my tallis when I speak. They're in the room tonight. For religious and practical purposes, I don't recommend that for Yom Kippur. So you don't realize how slippery these robes are. Good Yontiv, everyone. On a recent trip to New York, I was waiting at the elevator of my parents' building with my 2 young daughters. 2 other couples were ahead of us. And the elevator came, and in the blink of an eye, the 2 families in front of us got into an instant fight over the elevator. It degenerated quickly, complete with 4-letter swear words, threats, possibly some racial slurs, and almost shoving. 4 adults, not realizing what they were doing, right in front of my 6 and my 3-year-old. A lot of us are New Yorkers, we've seen a lot, but that was quite something. In the signature prayer of the Yamim Noraim, the Yonatan Tokef, the poet describes the midot, the attributes of God. They are attributes that we are meant to imitate as we prepare ourselves for a different new year, a new year that is better than the last one. God, according to the words of Jewish tradition, is kasher lichos, hard to anger, and noach lirtzot, easy to appease. They are admirable qualities that have become challenging for us to live up to, because exacerbating and perhaps enabling everything that has gone wrong in the last few years is an epidemic of anger and rage. It's everywhere, from airports and groceries to politics and personal interactions. Sadly, it's here in the temple as well, as demonstrated by some congregants who were verbally abusive to staff members in the lead up to the high holidays. Lashing out and shouting at someone is never acceptable and is never productive. But while we see this around us, most of us do have an idea of why people are so angry right now. And it's not because the waitress got your order wrong. Anger comes from a feeling of powerlessness when you are unable to control the situation or circumstances affecting you. Giving in to anger provides a temporary response to these moments of helplessness, and trying to hurt an individual, an organization, or government in the moment seems to be a way to take back power. It's a potent force and can be dangerous, as we have seen from demagogues across the world who would harness anger to achieve their ends without a care for the harm it causes. In most cases, however, anger hurts the person expressing it, perhaps more than the subject of the anger. As a Buddhist scripture cleverly states, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burnt. Sometimes, when we're angry, this is made clear to us. I remember a few weeks before I was to graduate college, it appeared that the registrar had lost records of one class that I had taken in my sophomore year, and that now I was 3 credits short of what I needed to graduate with just a few weeks to go. Under a lot of stress, I lost my cool at the secretary of the department of the missing class. Looking me right in the face, he said, "Do you really think it's a good idea to yell at the person who's going to decide if you graduate or not in 2 weeks?" The point was taken. Getting it out might seem like the right thing to do, but it actually does not lessen the anger. Rather, it just leads to more anger, because you have not actually accomplished anything. As Pirkei Avot teaches, Aveira goreret aveira, one transgression begets another. Now imagine if we understood that it is okay to feel helpless at times, and even to share that feeling with others, and to know that the people that you turn to would be with you with compassion, even if they could not help you. These, we learn as rabbis, are essential parts of pastoral care, but they are also traits that all people could use right now. I remember an elderly woman in a different community who had but one wish. Starting in her early 90s, all she wanted was for her life to come to an end. She told any family member who would listen that she wanted to die. Her family members were shocked at first. She was such a vibrant person, even in old age. But soon, their shock turned to anger, and they could not deal with her. "Mom, Bubby, please, stop it." So they called me in the hopes that I would talk her out of it. I don't know why people think I have that power, but I went over to her condo and listened to her, and she told me, "I want to die." I first ascertained that she was not actually going to hurt herself, But I did not talk her out of her death wish that day or any other day. And after that, every conversation with her, no matter what the topic, began with a reminder that she was tired of life and wanted it to come to an end. Granted, she had a flair for the dramatic, but this was still very hard to hear. It could be incredibly frustrating, and I started to understand the anger that her family was feeling. By that point, I'd seen any number of people reach the end of their lives, and as she would launch into this monologue, I often wanted to say something like this to her. Look, you are not fighting cancer. You do not have dementia. You are as healthy as a 90-something-year-old can be. You have the financial resources to keep yourself living in your beautiful condo for more years than you are actually likely to live. And you have aides and neighbors who adore you and who want to keep you company. You have a growing family that loves you and mostly gets along with each other. Some of them even live in the same city, and they come to see you on Shabbat. You do not have any of the stresses that make other people's later years miserable. You don't have it that bad, so stop complaining and appreciate what you have. Of course, I never and would never say something like that to her. On the face of it, she is a truly lucky person. But pointing that out to her is not what she needs, and would do little to address her torment. Because the feeling that the important parts of life are over and that you no longer have a purpose is a devastating one. Her feelings make no sense to me as I look in from the outside. So the best I can do is to listen and to acknowledge to her that what she is feeling, that her family is so angry about, is real. I think of her every time we come to one of the most powerful prayers in the Machzor, a prayer in which we admit our helplessness. The Slichot, or penitential prayers, that are included in each of the services on Yom Kippur that we are about to begin, are for the most part a series of poems that combine biblical verses with clever uses of acrostic, with metaphor and evocative imagery. Each displays the religious passion of the author, but they can be challenging to wade through. In contrast, Slichot ends with a simple request: Shema kolenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hear our voice, Adonai our God. Chus v'rachem aleinu. Be kind and have compassion for us. V'kabel berachamim uvratzon et tefilatenu. Willingly and lovingly accept our prayers. We are used to being asked to listen, Shema Yisrael. But here we ask of God to listen to us. Hear our voices, Adonai our God. The prayer is a set of 4 verses traditionally recited by echoing the words of the cantor. By this point, we're finished with the complicated words of others and just express the straightforward desire that God respond to our prayers, and we ask God if God is listening. And the final prayer, the final verse of the prayer is the most poignant, which is why I think of this woman. It is based on a verse from Psalms and implores God, Al tashlichenu le'et zikna. Do not cast us away as we get older. Kichlot kochenu al ta'azvenu. As our strength diminishes, do not abandon us. This verse is an admission of helplessness, and the prayer challenges each of us to reach out in our weakest moments, when we feel that we do not have the strength to go on and it feels like everyone else has abandoned us. After the last few years, we know how hard it is to admit that too many things are out of our control without turning to that anger at the same time. And it can also be challenging because sometimes other people's moments of weakness reflect on us. The woman I spoke of was not expressing anger, just tiredness. But her family reacted in anger because they perceived her death wish as a challenge to their care of her. I recently felt that kind of anger. There is a new organization called the Jewish COVID Resilience Network. In advance of the holidays, they released a heartbreaking video made by high-risk and disabled Jews who implored Jewish communities to keep COVID restrictions in place or to reimpose them after they had taken them off. Their first operating principle is that klal, as in Klal Yisrael, means all. The Jewish community, or klal, cannot be whole when anyone is left behind. Here's a group of Jews telling us that they want to participate in Jewish communal life, but have been left behind because most of us have moved on. All I wanted when I saw this was to feel compassion, but instead, I'm not proud that my first emotional response was anger. I did this for 2 years, I wanted to tell them. I personally followed regulations scrupulously, and as a professional, I enforced safety regulations on people who did not want them enforced. It was not easy, and it took a toll on me. I did my time, and I can't do it anymore. Don't you dare put that guilt on me. But then I take a breath, and I realize that this is not about me. Al chet shechatati lefanecha beimutz halev. I have sinned against you through the hardening of my heart. They are people in pain who feel abandoned. Maybe I cannot give them what they want, but I can at the very least acknowledge that their experience and the pain it causes them is real and should be respected. Admitting weakness and the feeling of not having strength is often perceived as well a weakness. But the opposite is actually true. It is a muscle that we often neglect to exercise. Responding to someone else's weakness, even if it cuts into us, is likewise a trait that does not come easily. On Yom Kippur, we recite the Slichot prayers and we implore God, Al tashlichenu le'et zikna, do not cast us away as we age. Then the devastating line, Kichlot kochenu al ta'azvenu, as our strength diminishes, we can do nothing about it, do not abandon us. When the high holidays began last week on Erev Rosh Hashanah, I spoke about the importance of saying Hineni to the people in our lives by being more fully present. Sometimes it is easy, but more often it can be a challenge. An unpredictable world leads to a loss of control and then anger at those around us. But we are warned by Jewish tradition. In the Talmud, the rabbi known as Reish Lakish teaches, any person who becomes angry, if he is a Torah scholar, his wisdom departs from him. And if he is a prophet, his prophecy departs from him. Anger is a natural response. But we remember how turning to this attribute, even in difficult times, hurts ourselves, hurts the people we care about, and, as tradition teaches, diminishes us. We enter into Yom Kippur asserting to God that we will do a better job in the coming year. And as we do, we pledge to do our part to end this epidemic of rage that makes it harder and harder to live with others and to face the challenges that are part of every year. The next time we feel like we're losing control, next time someone says something that challenges us, doesn't give us what we want in the moment, let us try to react not with anger, but with love and compassion. Chag Sameach. We turn to the Slichot prayers, those poems that I mentioned, the penitential prayers, on page 223. The first piyut is called Ya'aleh Tachanunenu Me'erev, may our supplication rise up at evening, and teaches us about the day of Yom Kippur, that it is a full day of prayer, of repentance. It begins in the evening tonight, continues in the morning tomorrow, and finally our prayers reach God at Erev, at evening tomorrow. Page 223. Please rise as the ark is opened for Ya'aleh.
Ya'aleh tachanunenu me'erev, v'yavo shavatenu miboker, v'yira'erinunenu ad arev, v'yira'erinunenu ad arev. Ya'aleh
supplications rise up at evening, our pleas arrive with the dawn, our songs transform the dusk. May our prayers rise up at evening, coming to you with the dawn, transforming us at Erev, at dusk. The ark is closed, you may be seated. The soul is yours, the body is your creation. Have compassion, O God, on your handiwork. The soul is yours, the body is yours. Deal with us according to your nature. Page 225 at the top of the page, Haneshama Lach.
Let's join our voices together. Haneshama Lach ve'haguf polach chusa chusa ala lamalach Haneshama Lach ve'haguf polach chusa chusa ala lamalach Haneshama Lach ve'haguf polach chusa chusa ala lamalach Haneshama Lach ve'haguf shelach Adonai yaseh leman shemecha atanu al shimcha Adonai aseh leman shemecha aseh leman shemecha בעבור כבוד שמך, כי אל חנון ורחום שמך, למען שמך, אדוני, וסלחת לעווננו, כי רב הוא.
According to Jewish tradition, Yom Kippur has a long history. Yom Kippur is the day that God forgave the Jewish people long ago in the wilderness after the sin of the golden calf. Moses spends 40 days up on the mountain imploring God to save the Jewish people, to spare the Jewish people, to give them another chance, to give us another chance. And on Yom Kippur, God agrees, God forgives. And so each year on Yom Kippur, we turn to God again, asking for forgiveness for our sins of the past year. And according to tradition, the words that Moses uses to appease God, that God tells Moses should be used every time we turn to God, are the Yud Gimel Midot, the 13 attributes of God from the book of Exodus. We turn to page 226. At the bottom of the page, I invite you to please rise. Adonai, Adonai, God merciful and compassionate, patient, abounding in love and faithfulness, assured in love for thousands of generations, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin, and granting pardon. Adonai, Adonai.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim v'Rav Chesed v'Emet, Noter Chesed la'alafim, Noter Chesed la'alafim, Nosei avon v'pesha v'chata
May be seated. Turn to page 227. Ki hine kachomer biyad hayotzer, as clay in the hands of the potter, who thickens or thins it at will, so are we in your hand, guardian of love. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser. In each stanza of this poem, we are compared to a beautiful raw material. Each raw material is filled with potential and shaped by God. We ask God to give us the strength to shape ourselves positively in the coming year. Page 227, Ki hine kachomer.
La berita beit, ve'alete fen la yetzer, ki neka even biad hamisatet, birtzot ochez, uvirtzot omechatet, ken anachnu Mechayehu memotet, la berita beit, ve'alete fen la yetzer.
As silver in the hand of the smelter who alloys or refines it at will, so are we in your hand, healer of wounds. La brit habeit v'al tefen la yetzer. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser. The 13 attributes of God are interjected into the service between each of the PU team. Let's turn to page 229 to the introductory paragraph. God, sovereign, who sits on a throne of mercy, acting with unbounded grace, forgiving the sins of your people one by one. El Melech Yoshev al Kisei Rachamim.
El Melech Yoshev al Kisei Rachamim, mitnaheg b'chasidut. Join with me when you catch on. Mochel avonot amo, ma'avir rishon, ma'bemechila, alechatayim, uselicha, lefosh
please rise.
אל הורית לנו לומר 13, זכר לנו היום ברית 13, כמו שהודעת לעניו מקדם, כמו שכתוב, וירד אדוני בענן, ויתייצב עמו שם, ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויעבור אדוני על פניו, ויקרא. אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, אל רחום וחנון, ארך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד אלפים, נוצר חסד אלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטאה ונקה, וסלחת על עווננו לחטאתנו ונחלתנו.
אבינו כי חטאנו בחלום כל קראך.
סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, מחל לנו מלכנו כי פשענו, כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח ורב חסד לכל קוראיך.
We turn to page 233. We remain standing as the ark is opened for the verses of Shema Kolenu. Hear our voice, Adonai our God. Be kind and have compassion for us. Willingly and lovingly accept our prayers. Page 233, the second paragraph. Do not cast us away as we grow old. Do not desert us as our energy wanes. Do not abandon us, Adonai our God. Do not distance yourself from us. The ark is closed. May be seated. We continue on the top of page 234. Beautiful series of metaphors for our relationship with God. Ki anu amecha, page 234.
Ki o Eloheinu v'Elokei avotenu v'imotenu selach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu ki anu amecha v'ata Eloheinu anu v'anecha v'ata Viata Adonenu anu kehalecha viata chelkeinu anu nachalatecha viata goralenu anu tzomnecha viata roheinu anu charmecha viata notrenu anu feuatecha viata yotrei anu rayatecha viata dodenu anu segulatecha viata keroveinu anu amecha viata malkeinu anu mamirecha viata mamirenu.
Rambam Maimonides teaches in his Hilchot Tshuva, the laws of repentance, that the first step of doing tshuva, of repenting, is a verbal confession, saying out loud what it is that we are atoning for. Because to say something out loud, to bring it from your head into the world, keeps you from hiding from it, keeps you from keeping it secret, and holds you responsible. I did this wrong, I can do better. On Yom Kippur at each service, we chant the Vidoi together. We chant these verses in plural because we stand together as a community. But the prayers that we recite out loud are only supposed to be a model for us, challenges us to think about what it is that perhaps we need to confess or apologize to someone else. Penina Polsky is going to introduce the Vidoi section of the service with the Al Kulam based on the words of the Vidoi.
Am I there for those who need me? Giving of my heart completely. Have I been caring and have I been patient? Have I forgiven without reservation?
planet have I held fast to your commandments, and have I raised my voice against injustice? Have I been giving, or have I been selfish? Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, Elohai slichot, ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, Elohai slichot, ve'al kulam, Silach lanu, michal lanu, kaper lanu, ve'al kulam. Silach lanu, michal lanu, kaper lanu, ve'al kulam. Ve'al kulam. Esaina. Ve'al kulam. El heharim. Elohai slichot. Ve'ayin yavo ezri. Ve'al kulam. Ezri meir. Ve'al kulam. Adonai. Elohai slichot. Ve'al kulam.
Asher Koach to Penina Polsky. Page 235. I invite you to please rise as we join together for the Ashamnu, the first, the shorter of the Vidois, an alphabetical acrostic. It's traditional as we say each word to tap on our hearts, calling into them to check on ourselves. As we sing it, Cantor will chant each phrase and we repeat after her.
Join me. Ay, 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 Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi. Hevinu, Vehirshanu, Zadnu, Hamasnu, Tafanu Sheker. Ay, 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 Yatznu ra, Kizavnu, Latznu, Maradnu, Niatznu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Sararnu, Kishinu Oresh, Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu. Ay, 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 ay.
chanter, that melody for the Vidoy that's so universal that everyone knows it, it always strikes me as a little bit cheerful.
Does
Do you have
it?
that feeling about it? The ay part?
Well, you know, there is this thing in music where it's really powerful, the juxtaposition of joy and sadness. So
Yeah.
sometimes that happens, you know, some of the best songs will be about something really tragic, but have an upbeat melody. And sometimes there'll be really an upbeat message with a sad melody. So I don't know if that's
So
what you're going for.
that might be the musical answer.
Yeah.
I like that works really well. I also heard a very nice rabbinic answer
Let's hear.
that tshuva is supposed to make us happy. The feeling of getting something off of our chests, of mending a fence for someone, is supposed to bring us joy. So that even though what we do during these days is difficult, we are supposed to feel happy. We are supposed to feel cheerful, to feel lighter at the end, and the melody reflects that.
That's beautiful. It's
like that.
cathartic, for
Let's
sure.
get started. Page 237, the longer Vidoy, Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the sin we have sinned against you.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באונס וברצון, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך באימוץ הלב, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בבלי דעת, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בביטוי שפתיים. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך ביצר הרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך ביודעים ובלא יודעים, ועל כולם אלוהי סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
We have sinned against you through pursuing the impulse to evil, and we have sinned against you wittingly and unwittingly. For all these sins, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בחרשו. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בעיניים רמות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בעזות מצח, ועל כולם אלוהי סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגבורת עול, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפלילות, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בעצימות יד, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בתימהון לבב, ועל כולם אלוהי סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
We have sinned against you through empty promises, and we have sinned against you through baseless hatred. We have sinned against you by betraying trust, and we have sinned against you by succumbing to confusion. V'al kulam Elohah slichot, for all these sins, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, and grant us atonement. Let's turn to page 243. The ark is open for the beloved prayer, Avinu Malkeinu.
Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 מלכנו, חטאנו לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו לפניך, אבינו מלכנו חדש לנו שנה טובה, אבינו מלכנו
אבינו מלכנו, החזירנו בתשובה שלמה לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו, החזירנו בתשובה שלמה לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו, שלח רפואה שלמה לחולי עמך.
אבינו מלכנו, שלח רפואה שלמה לחולי עמך.
אבינו מלכנו, זוכרנו בזיכרון טוב לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו, זוכרנו בזיכרון טוב לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר חיים טובים.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר חיים טובים.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר גאולה וישועה.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר גאולה וישועה.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר פרנסה וכלכלה.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר פרנסה וכלכלה.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר זכויות.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר זכויות.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר סליחה ומחילה.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר סליחה ומחילה.
אבינו מלכנו, שמע קולנו. אבינו מלכנו, חטאנו לפניך. אבינו מלכנו, חמול עלינו ועל עלינו ותפנו. אבינו מלכנו, קל דבר
The ark is closed. We remain standing in the middle of page 245 for Kaddish Shalem.
יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דיברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחגי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן תתקבל תלותון ובאותהון דכל ישראל קדם אבוהון דיבי שוויה ואמרו אמן יש למה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו והכל ישראל ואמרו אמן יש מרבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי תקודשה פריחו לעילה ולעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בהומה ואמרו אמן תתקבל תלותון ובאותהון דכל ישראל קדם אבוהון דיבי שוויה ואמרו יש למה רבה בין שמיה וחיים עלינו והכל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל
How many times is that now, Cantor?
20?
20? Oy. 246 Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגודם מרומים הוא אלוהינו העליון אמת מלכינו אפס זולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשיבות אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל והארץ איתו רק נקבל חיינו ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
May be seated. One thing I ask of Adonai, this I seek, to dwell in the house of God all the days of my life, to behold God's beauty and visit in God's sanctuary. Page 248, Psalm 27, the psalm for the season of repentance that we have recited every day since the beginning of the month of Elul, and will continue to recite until the end of Sukkot. Naomi Walker leads us in Achat Sha'alti.
Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai. Achat sha'alti otav akesh. Shivti, shivti beveit Adonai. Shivti, shivti kol yamei chayai lachazot benoam Adonai ulvaker behechalom lachazot benoam Adonai to gaze upon the beauty of Adonai. One thing, I ask you, Adonai, to be with you all of my life. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai. Achat sha'alti otav akesh.
Shakach to Naomi Walker. Let's turn to page 247, back one page, and invite those in mourning or observing a yard site to rise and join me in the words of Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Page 247. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah v'yalma divera kirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'yomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael Ba'agala ubizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shemei rabba mevorach leolam olameo maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela le'ela mikol berchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechamata. Damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. You may be seated. I call again on our president, Amy Yudof, for some words of greeting.
Good Yom Tov. Thank you, Rabbi Wolk and Kenner Lissick, for leading us in a beautiful and meaningful Kol Nidre service. The beautiful flowers on the bima were donated by Pearl Mann and Liba Russo in loving memory of their parents, Mary and Simon Wanowich, and grandparents Pincus and Liba Wanowich, and Abraham and Golda Kaplan. The white kippot were donated by Jody and Stuart Cohen in memory of their parents, Ethel and Jimmy Cohen, and Louis and Marlene Goldsticker. Torah Tot service begins at 8:45 tomorrow morning, followed by the family service at 9:30 a.m. in Lerner Hall. Services begin in the sanctuary at 9 a.m. Yisker will begin approximately around 11:15 a.m., and Minka begins at 5:30 p.m., followed by Break the Fast for those who've registered. The Milton Charlotte offers adult education for life-enhancing study of Jewish texts and ideas. It is a collaboration between Temple Israel, Temple Bethel, and the Jewish Federation of Greater Charlotte and the Center for Jewish Education. It begins on October 26th. Mark your calendars for December 11th when the Temple Israel's annual fundraiser and concert will take place. This year, our theme is You Raise Me Up, a musical celebration of love and friendship. The event will feature Cantor Shira Lissick, internationally celebrated saxophonist Adrian Crutchfield, and jazz pianist Noel Friedline. This will be an extraordinary evening of music and an opportunity to honor two longstanding members of our congregations and leader in the community, Margie Goldstein and Harry Swimmer. We will honor their decades of service and dedication to the temple and recognize their commitment by presenting them with the Shofar Award. Tickets and sponsorship information will be available soon. Be sure to check out the Temple Israel website for exciting holiday programs for Sukkot and Simchat Torah. We hope to see you there. Wishing you an easy and meaningful fast. Gomer Hatima Tova.
Thank you, Amy. Just to clarify the schedule tomorrow.
Sorry.
It's okay. There is one question that's on everyone's mind when they think about Yom Kippur. We get it more than any other question the entire year. What time is Yizkor? So things are a little bit different than they've been in the past, and we're all somewhat out of practice. We are starting the main service here in the sanctuary at 9 o'clock a.m. tomorrow. That's an hour earlier than it started last year. The approximate plan for the morning is that Shacharit, the morning service, lasts from around 9 to 10. The Torah service and everything that it includes goes from about 10 to 11:15-ish. At 11:15, the time that we've announced for Yizkor is my sermon, which introduces the Yizkor Memorial Service. If you want to know exactly what time we will reach the Avoda service in Musaf, that's up to Cantor.
First of all, I love the detail. Isn't that helpful? So helpful. All I can promise is I think we'll be done by 2. My estimation is about 1:30. But it could be 2.
But we were so impressed and moved by people staying for so much of services last week on Rosh Hashanah. We hope it was a meaningful experience and that you will spend many hours with us tomorrow as well. And I'll add in one other opportunity that was not on the calendar. At 4:30, an hour before we start Mincha, I will be in the small chapel for an informal Ask the Rabbi / study session. If you'd like to spend some time learning on Yom Kippur afternoon, that's 4:30 in the chapel. We will conclude the Kol Nidre service with Yigdal on page 250.
Yigdal Elohim chai ve'yishtabach nimtza b'einei del mitziuto echad v'in yachid ke'ichudo na'elam v'gam in sof le'achduto ein lo demut haguf v'eino guf lo na'aroch elav kedushato kanon echotava asher nivra rishon v'in reshit le'reshito ino adon olam lechol notar yoreh gedulato malchuto shefa nevuato nitano el anshe segulato v'tifarto lo kam be'Yisrael kemoshe od navi umabir et emunato lo Le'amoel aya nevio neman mito lo yachaliv ha'el ve'lo yamir dato le'olamim Lato, Tzofe v'yodea, Sitarenu, Mobit l'sof davar, Bekanato. Gomel ish chesed kemifalo, notil rasha kerishato. Yishlach lekit yamim meshichenu, liftot mechayket Yeshuato. Mekim yechayel birov chasto, Baruch adei Hashem tehilato. Metim yechayel birov chasto, Baruch adei Hashem tehilato.
L'shana tova techatemu, may you be sealed for a good year. Good yantiv, Chag Sameach.
Good Yontif, Chag Sameach.